Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Let's Get It podcast. I'm your host, Justin Spaulding. I got Brad Kligora here. Brad's asking which camera should he be looking at. So it doesn't matter. Joel's got enough of these cameras set up. It doesn't even matter. Just look at one or don't look at any, or look at me or look at Joel. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I'm excited to have Brad on. I've known Brad for too long.
A long time. You were
2006, 5. No, so I was a freshman in 05. So it would have been like the summer of 05, right?
Yep.
Freshman in high school. So I was heading into my freshman year of high school, and they brought Brad in. I don't know who hooked you up there. They brought Brad into my high school to basically start doing speed conditioning, strength training, and whatnot. And he's become one of my best friends over the last almost 25 years, which is crazy to say.
You're just like
23.
Justin's still young.
20 years.
I'm old.
20 years, 20 and a half years, something like that. So it's just like, wow, a long time. But yeah, he's one of my mentors, one of my best friends. Trained me all through high school, trained me all through college, helped me become an All-American. Definitely not an All-American, not in the Milton Hall of Fame, not in the College Hall of Fame twice if it's not for you and all the work that we put in. So thank you, and thanks for being here.
Well, thank you, Justin. I appreciate it, but I don't deserve any of that credit. I mean, honestly, your mom, your dad, and others deserve that credit, especially you, because it's your work ethic. I was just there along for the ride at times. I mean, you just needed just a little bit of guidance, and it was pretty easy to train you. Probably one of the easiest ones ever.
I think the first vertical lift that we did, was at the Milton Middle School, wasn't it?
Yep.
And I remember I left there, and halfway home I had to pull over, and I threw up everywhere. Well, I mean, I worked hard. I'd worked hard. Bob Stewart put us through some hard stuff when we were like 5th, 6th grade. Like, we ran a lot in basketball. But then, like, when you added, we got to, again, like, around that 9th grade sophomore year and got into the serious lifting with you, and I went home. I was just like, man. But it took like 10, 15, 20 workouts for me ready to rock and roll, and completely changed the direction of a lot of my athletic career. So,
yeah, those were funny times. A lot of great stories, a lot of great things that came out of that. I mean, like, coming to Milton to do that stuff and meet some of those kids was the perfect spot, the perfect time for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
And it has produced some lifelong friends and some lifelong relationships that are just beyond invaluable.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think too, we talk about this a lot, and I think about it pretty much every day. I think about it. I don't remember I don't remember the exact words you used, but I remember when, you were working with Drew and I, there'd be days there was weeks we'd go 6-7 days a week when we were in college, right? Like, working out. And there were days where we had nothing left. And I can't remember what you would say, but like how I took it, maybe you can clean it up now a little bit, but how I always took it was it doesn't really matter. Just show up and put into the bucket what you can put into the bucket today. Contribute and put into the bucket. Put the work in that you can put in, even if you feel like it's not as high quality as it should be or as you want it to be. It's just today is another day in the overall body of work, and put the work in today and just give it what you do have, even if it's not a lot, and it'll pay off in the end. And I think about that getting through. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, exactly. I remember when I had to give you that speech. I remember when I have to give that speech even currently today. It's like there's a big difference between emotionally lifting, emotionally doing something, or having the discipline to do it. And that's where successful people understand, like, it's the discipline of doing those daily things over and over, regardless of how you feel, will get you long-term success. And when we talk about that specific time, it was like, you guys are tired, you're sore, you're whiny, you're trying to get to the next level. And it's like, it might not be your very best workout today, but you need to go and do it anyway, because it will lead to better things. Yep. And it's like, it's okay. It doesn't matter if it's your very best. It just the work has to get done regardless. And honestly, like, I always got that from, like, growing up on the farm. Like, you literally, doesn't matter how you feel. Cows still need to be fed. Yeah. Barns still need to be clean. It just doesn't matter. Yep. Sick, tired, broken, whatever. You have to get up and do it, because no one else is going to do it. And when you learn that mental discipline, the world is yours.
Yep. And my parents live that every day too. But then for you, I remember you putting it in the way that you put it to us then, was because it's made a huge impact. So, I mean, again, it's one of the things I think about every single day. I'm like, just put the work in, put the work into the bucket, and wring it out. Whatever you've got left, just wring it out and put it in there, and then just keep going. And then, when you need a break, sleep that night, sleep in the next day if you have to a little bit, whatever. Yeah. But and then when you do get up, wake up, you do the same thing, rinse and repeat, and you do that enough times consistently, and you do that for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. I mean, and the business has been doing it for like 13, 14 years, and what that's compounded into is crazy. And just like when we were lifting all the time, lifting all those weights, like go from not being able to bench press 225 at all to be able to do whatever I was doing, 24 or 26 reps or whatever. And like, just like everything else that, on the football field, it was just because of all that work that went in when people aren't watching. So anyways, a lot of that came from you, man. I appreciate it. I love you. I'm glad you're here. So.
This is
I'm going to try to make Brad cry.
We could probably
the
do
goal
that
for the day.
We could probably do that with what we're going to talk about it just on its own. But like, no, I truly have said this to you several times. I've said it to your family. Like, I am so thankful for your guys' journey to be a part of it. It's just been one of the best things I've ever done in my life, and
appreciate that.
It's just so awesome to be surrounded by you all, and to be a part of it. Because like, the reality is like I don't do anything special. I mean, I really don't, and just to be part of that journey has been awesome.
Yeah, well, you asked Drew, one of my best friends' name is Drew Herma, and that's who trained with Brad and I. You asked Drew, I think he'd say what you do is pretty special. I mean, so I think we both would say that. So
just bicep curls.
Yeah, just bicep curls. That's it. Little buys and tries. So yeah, man, you've been through a lot the last few years. We've been through a lot for a long time, so I don't even know where we're going to take this show for sure. I know you got some notes jotted down, not necessarily word for word, obviously, but just I think some stories to share and whatnot. But yeah, did you have anything on your mind that you were looking to share or talk about?
Well, honestly, like whatever you want to talk about, anything's open. It doesn't matter. Like,
I mean, it's really, this whole thing's really about, we've had athletes, we've had professional athletes on here, we've had other successful business people on here, successful people in general, people that are, focused on health and wellness. I mean, so there's, just success, right? And in general, and like the mindset thing and all that. So it can kind of go in any of those directions. I mean, I know you're full of, you got a lot of stuff there when it comes to all that stuff. So, yeah.
How about we start with like mindset first, because like that's probably like the easiest thing. I wouldn't say the easiest thing, but I would say like I feel very confident like your mindset will set you apart from pretty much anybody.
For sure.
And if you can wrap that,
where do you want to start? Where do you want to unpack? How do you want to unpack that?
How important is mindset in your career now, Justin? Forget about the things that you think you've learned from others. How important is your mindset right now in your career?
I mean, I think it goes back to what we were touching on is I think that I've already kind of accomplished something the moment that I've set out to do it, because I've already kind of, once I get that, like the vision of what we're trying to accomplish in my head, I'm like, it's just a matter of when it's going to happen and when it's going to pop through. And, and then the only variable is how much work is it going to take? I don't know how much work it's going to take, but you just start down the path, and it could be a year of work. It could be 5 years of work. It could be, whatever. But then you can also compress all that time by taking action now, right? And again, a lot of that is mindset, to not procrastinate, to just get up and, go after it. And so I think the mindset is everything. Because I mean, this is the thing. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that just want to do the visualization. Well, that's not going to do it. Like everything that you have with your mind and whatnot, I think it all has to start and lead there, because you have to have an idea, or you have to have a vision of some sort of where you want to go. But so I think it all starts there, but if it can't just end there, like there's got to be so much more beyond that. But your mindset then also comes back into play after you, so it starts with the mind, then you got to take action with your body and take action, right? But then your mind comes back into it as far as you got to tell yourself and to keep going, to never stop, right? And so I think that's a lot of the mindset as well. What do you think when it comes to the mindset and pushing through?
Your mindset means everything, absolutely everything, regardless of the goal you set or whatever. But then it's what's the actionable step, and turning that actionable step into a daily discipline or a disciplined behavior. So therefore the emotions are not involved in it, and it's just keep consistently moving forward with that. And that will compress that time and it'll make that goal achievable and a lot sooner, rather than just being like, I have a vision, but a vision with no actionable plan. The steps to get there is nothing more than a pipe dream, which really leads to absolutely nothing. You're nothing but hot smoke.
How do you mold a mindset into that? Because I think everyone has some type of, everyone's got a mindset, whether it's positive, negative, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think I think Drew and I just go back to that, because when you were training us, we already kind of had a mindset, I think, that was maybe beyond some other people, but there was still, you were still able to tap into something more to, I think, get our mindset to even go to another place over the span of, again, 10 workouts over the span of 30 workouts over the span of, 2 years. For people that are watching, how do they potentially change their own mindset? And then the second part of the question, I guess, for you would be, how do you, as like a business owner, as a coach, as someone training other people, how can you have a positive impact and transform other people's mindsets? It's kind of a two-part question for you, Brad.
That's a big one.
Because you've been able to coach a lot of people, between athletics and training and the businesses that you've done and, all that stuff. So I guess, how would you answer those?
You always got to tap into their heart to figure out what their vision is and what they want. And then once you tap into the heart, you get them to speak what their actionable steps are, and get them to stop believing that the steps are small and their vision is small, and get them to believe bigger, and then take bigger steps. And those bigger actionable steps lead to bigger things accomplishing. And to change that mindset for yourself, if you're just like, I'm writing down, a silly goal of like, I want to walk 1,000 steps tomorrow. What's the first thing? Well, the small-minded thinker is going to be like, I have to take one step. Well, one step ain't gonna make a difference if you're trying to take 1,000. So like break it down into parts that are achievable, but also something that you can make it be a discipline daily, like 500. Then after 5 days, I'm moving to 1,000. Whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But that's a plan of action to keep you disciplined to it. And then I truly believe in the power of writing those things down. Like, I have old notebooks of what you guys would say at times, and then I wrote them down to be like, we got to get here. And to get here, we've got to take these steps. It wasn't just like hot smoke that we'd talk about all the time of like just banter back and forth. And now, whether you're building a business, whether you're doing something, there's just way too much what I like to call white noise out there all the time. People are just talk. And it's so easy on whether it's social media or whatever to create this atmosphere of like you're doing things, but in reality, you're doing nothing.
For sure.
And for the people that understand actionable steps and keep doing it over and over and over, regardless of how hard it is, because from point A to point B, it is definitely not a straight line. If you just keep going, you're going to get there so much faster and so much, it's going to be more rewardable, and you're going to learn so much along the way, because it's not going to be the smoothest road ever. It's going to be bumpy, and that's okay. But as long as you're moving forward, it's a good thing.
You said you kind of led that off with tapping into people's hearts. What do you kind of mean by that, and how do you do that?
Well, this is going to, like, you got to find their pressure point, and that sounds really bad when I say it out loud, and some people get really, like, uptight about it, but, like, it's like, what do they truly care about? Most people, when you're talking to them about what do they care about, they're going to give you some surface level example of something or anything just to kind of like appease you and then move on. And you got to really kind of dig a little bit deeper all the time by either asking why or finding out what really drives them, so you can find that point and, for a lack of a better term, squeeze that thing a little bit to get them to move in a direction that they want. They just need that push. And sometimes that push is a little bit hard. Sometimes it's a little soft. It just depends on what they need. But once you tap into their heart and you really truly find a goal that they want and they're really passionate about, and that word passion is thrown around way too much, like something that will motivate them intrinsically, where like they can just get up, their eyes are open, and they're like, we're going. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're going. This is the point. When you find that, you can tell because their face lights up, their emotions are different, how they talk about it and how they go about it is so different. It's like, all right, now we're down to the reality of this person and the realness of them. Let's utilize that and just direct it in the direction they want to go. And you can help guide them to whatever. And to me, that's very, I don't want to say easy, but once you find that, you're on the path. And you can make that path go really fast at times. I don't care if it's training, I don't care if it's business or whatever, but like if you want, you can make it happen quickly. And in today's world of people like moving slower at a slower pace, if you're a mover and a shaker, for lack of a better term, you can make things happen really fast for yourself, because you don't need to wait for anybody at all, because your life circumstances might change really, really quickly.
For sure.
That you don't know about.
Yeah.
So,
well, I mean, the whole white noise thing, I think, there's a lot of white noise out there.
Oh
I was tricked here by some people with, I think, some white noise lately and, whatnot. And And then you start to get through some of that stuff. You're like, man, there's a lot of just BS and white noise, I guess is a good way to say it. And
but even that comes down to mindset and the criticalness of alignment in an organization of mindset. You know, they had a mindset and they were stuck in that mindset, but it didn't align culturally. It didn't align from a visionary standpoint as to what your mindset was. So, I mean, individual mindset's critical, but a cohesiveness, I think, from an organizational standpoint of the same mindset is so critical.
how'd you do that with Drew and I when we started training in high school? How do you do that? I guess, how do you do that with a high school kid? Like, I mean, I don't know. I guess how you do it with a high school kid is kind of how it's probably the same thing you do with anybody. Probably. It doesn't even matter really the age. It's probably the same type of. So how'd you do that with us? I don't know if I really remember.
Sometimes this is
because I think you
choice.
did. I think you did because the impact that you had, and maybe you don't remember either. But I think that you had to have.
Guidance talk, relating the topic always of like moving forward with something that's currently going on in your life, but most importantly, having a standard. And I say this now. I will say it when we talk about business in my other world. I talk about when I'm back at school teaching. Like, what's my standard? And my standard for myself and what I want out of others is unwavering, and it will not change to the point of like, I'm not sometimes real nice about it, but like the standard is here because it's like, I want to hold myself to that. I want to hold others to that, because then it's like, if we're all on that same vision, that same page, and we're raising it up higher, that standard higher, we're going to achieve awesome things.
For sure.
And it doesn't matter if I'm tired, if I'm hurt, or anything else, mentally, emotionally, physically, like that's the standard. And if we hold to that standard every single time, we are on a path for great success.
For sure.
Sometimes people want to make that bar move up and down depending on their emotions. And as you know this, and yourself, you do this yourself, you got to take the emotions out of non-emotional decisions. And people love to put emotions in every decision. It's like, these are non-emotional decisions. Just go and do it.
Well, the whole standard thing that's been big around here, because I mean, we got to a point like where we're trying to remodel. We got like 40, if you have like 40, 50, 60 remodels of apartments going on at one time, it's the standard of it. What we've struggled with is like the part going from like, okay, 0% to complete to like 95% complete or 98% complete is like really easy. But what I've found is like, it's the last 2% or 3% that's just like, just will piss me off sometimes. And it's like, man, it's like what we've done is literally it's the standard. And so now what we've had to do to get everybody to the same standard is we've got multiple people that will go through and inspect the apartment. And basically what we're doing every single time is when there's a problem, the people that are the ones that have that the influence or the ability to fix it at that location, they're the ones that are in that message of, so like Jen, the leasing specialist, when she goes through these units that she's pre-leasing a lot of units and whatnot, but she's going through these remodeled units that are supposedly done. She'll go through and she'll nitpick. She gets down to really, and that's what I do too. And we'll send pictures and we'll include the team that is supposed to be the one taking care of it. But the idea is that, hey, eventually we don't have to do this anymore of go through and take all these pictures. We just know it's going to be set at our standard. But it's getting there. Yeah. But it's getting there and getting everyone on that same page of that standard. That's really, really hard, especially when it comes to the final details to be elite at what you're doing. Anyone can do it from 0 to 99% completion, or 90% or 80% completion, or 60, whatever. But it's the finishing and getting it truly to 100% that a lot of people can't do.
It's fighting off that boredom of the daily monotonous stuff. And when you understand that daily monotonous stuff is what makes you successful and what can take you to those higher levels, it doesn't matter anymore. And getting to that point where you're saying like, hey, the last 2% is hard, you're really, really close, not only in percent wise, but like you're there. You just gotta
finish
past that.
That's been our big thing. It's like,
part is
finish.
really hard because it doesn't matter anymore. I'm bored. We've been doing this for how long? Doesn't matter. That's an emotional response, in my opinion, to something that should be non-emotional. This is the task at hand. The task needs to be done. And that's it. There's nothing more to it. It's like if someone asks you for like when you go to the grocery store, you don't negotiate. I only feel like paying $3 today, not $4. Yeah, that doesn't work out. I mean, I wish it did, but it doesn't.
Keep that for the farmer's market, not the grocery.
Yes, that's a great analogy, though. Honestly, like,
Well, there's a different
you can
standard, I
barter.
guess, yeah.
You can use the barter system at a farmer's market. You can barter some other things. Like you used to buy cars by bartering. Now they're like, those are the price. So they'll be like, no, we're gonna barter. No, I'm like, all right, well, I'm not buying it here. It's pretty simple. I'll go somewhere else. So, all right.
What else you got written down over there?
Oh, well, I got a lot of stuff written down, but like, I don't know. I mean, how do you want to dig into this thing?
What?
I mean,
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's go back to mindset. I don't know. Can we? I mean, this is being recorded. We're not live, so if we should take anything out, we can take something out. I mean, you overcame cancer,
yeah.
right? So and like you did it in a crazy way where people were astonished, like, whoa, you didn't miss a day of school. I mean, you missed maybe 2 or 3 or whatever. But like you didn't skip out on anything, and you kept living that, and that's a certain mindset. So tell us a little bit about that story and just like the mindset that took, because that to me, when I the same thing, you told me that news, and I was like, oh my, I was like, that was a hard thing to take, and I didn't know how to respond to you because I wanted to cry, and I'm like, I can't do that right now because I'm like, I gotta be strong for you or whatever. But then like again, like to see what you did there, and you miss hardly anything. You just kept. It had to have been mindset. So what was your mindset like that whole time?
Well, that's what a great way to lead into it, because like I think at that time, maybe in my life in general, I was probably struggling with like, what was my mindset? Because I just felt like I was doing mundane stuff every single day, and I just go kind of like living just to live, not really do anything exceptional. And maybe that was the world's way of recorrecting me. I have no idea, but the mindset of having that issue really was a culmination of like probably 30 years in the making, in my opinion, or maybe my entire life up until then. It was really like the ultimate test of like, is what you say bullshit, or is this real? And then to me, it was like a test of like,
Meaning like what you said to Drew and I when we were working out, and now you're like, can I really hit that standard that I tried to hold you guys to? And this is like the ultimate test. Is that what you mean by that?
yeah, like to me, it was like, am I full of crap for the last 35 years? I've been telling this to other kids, other people, or am I for real? And is this my ultimate way to show it? And I was like, I've told Jen this several times. I've told Vital, you, like, kind of picked on the wrong person.
Yeah.
Because it was just like, if I would give stats out, and I will here in a little bit, of like what actually happened, like people really get kind of freaked out by it, because it was really sudden, fast, and it was really quite an non-enjoyable journey for a very short period of time. So like, I mean, what the hell? Should we get into it?
Yeah,
Because it's
do
gonna
it.
be interesting. We can tell a couple stories here that you actually don't know. We can actually set Justin up, and maybe you can see a human side of him rather than a business side all the time. Like it was very strange because like in the summer of 22, being a teacher, you have off. I normally do tons of stuff, and I kind of like I sat around the house and didn't do anything. Wasn't cutting the grass. I was not doing basic stuff. Had no idea what was going on. And just like any other egocentric male, I'm like,
Did you feel different that
whatever.
summer?
In hindsight, yes. In reality,
You didn't realize it
I was
in-
just like,
in the
I'm
moment.
tired.
Yeah.
Whatever. But the day things really changed for me was like right around the end of September of 22. And I like had a long day at school, and I was like driving right past the Jefferson County Fairgrounds, and I do the whole like over my face, and I feel my neck, and I'm like, what was that? And I do it again, and I feel the same lump like in the side of my neck, and it's about a little bit less than a pea, and I'm like, I got the sickest feeling I ever got in my stomach.
Wait, how big was it?
Like just a little bit smaller than a pea.
Really?
Like,
It was.
literally.
In my mind, when you told this story, I always thought it was bigger than that. Sorry,
Well,
keep going.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was like the gut punch, like when someone calls you and tells you that someone passed away that was close to you. I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble. I'm really in trouble, and I know it. I pull off to the side of the road, and I like sit there, and I'm like, all right, relax. You're just freaking out. It's your tonsils. I'm like, I'm going to lie to myself and tell me it's my tonsils. And I look at the clock, and I'm like, I'm going to a soccer game for my son at the time. And I'm like, you know what? In 1 minute, when that clock strikes 3:48, I'm forgetting about this until next time, but it's over with. Quickly feel it again. I'm like, yep, it's my tonsils. In reality, it's not anywhere near my tonsils. But that's what I'm believing at the moment. Clock turns, and I legitimately do what I do best, turn the emotions off, get back on the road, start driving. Don't think about it. Don't think about it at all. Next week, I'm walking around school, do the exact same thing, and I noticed it was bigger. And I'm like, okay, got a small problem. I'm going to do the male thing here, and I'm going to be like very quiet about this. I'm going to call the doctor. I'm just going to be like, hey, man, I want to come talk to you, because it's the same doctor I've been with for like 25 years. I'm not going to tell anybody. I'm just going to go. Set up, go to the doctor. Doctor looks at it, feels it, and goes, wait right here. I'll be right back. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of strange. But I'm like, whatever. Cool. Comes back in with a different doctor. Doctor feels it and is like, well, we're going to go get an ultrasound for this. And I'm like, time out. Time out right now, dude. Like, no, we're not doing anything. Just give me like a Z-Pack or something, because it's my tonsils and I've been kind of sick. You know, like, just give me some, and I'm gonna go home and never think about this again. He's like, no, we're not giving you a Z-Pack. Like, you're gonna get this checked out. I'm like, no, brother, sorry, see ya. And I left. And I was like, didn't really think about it. Just went home, acted like nothing was wrong. And the doctor called back. He's like, you have to come in and see this guy. See this. Like, he kicked me immediately from my GP, general practitioner, right to a specialist. Like, it was pretty quick. And I'm like, deep down, like, I knew I was in trouble already. I knew the moment I felt that I'm like, I'm in deep, deep trouble. How do I like prolong this, get out of this? I got to figure out a way. And it wasn't happening, and I knew it. So I went back, and we went to an ultrasound. From the ultrasound, like literally like 2 days after the ultrasound, we went to a CT scan. CT scan didn't reveal anything, and we went right to a biopsy. Biopsy didn't reveal anything. We went right to surgery. I mean, like, we weren't messing around. It was literally like not even 3 weeks, and we went through every major step that we could have and just keep proceeding along the ladder up. And I didn't really understand it at the time, because I was in some pretty strong denial of what's going on. We had no indication of whether it was cancer or not. We had no indication of what was really going on, other than this, what started out smaller than a pea is now growing. And it's growing a lot, to the point of like, it's pressuring my carotid artery. It's giving me problems when I work out. It's giving me problems anytime I do anything physical. And it's starting to grow where you can see it. And I'm like, this isn't the best. So it was quite interesting. Quite interesting. Funny story, a little side note, funny story, because I'm so thankful for this journey, but there's so many funny stories along the way. And the first one is this one. When I had the biopsy, they took 8 needles and was shoving it in my neck and just trying to like, basically like rotor root it out of my neck. They were just trying to get some cells to go test. Well, the surgeon I had I got lucky enough to have the same surgeon and the same anesthesiologist for every single surgery. And it was one of those things where it was like, the anesthesiologist gives me like what he would normally give me. And I'm laying on the table and I'm like looking up and I'm like, you put something there so I can see. I want to see what you're doing, because like, I'm like, if I want to enjoy this journey, like, it's nothing. In my mind, it's still nothing. It's not nothing, but in my mind, it's still nothing. And the surgeon hits me with the first needle, and he's like literally doing this to it. Like, he's literally like a sewing machine on that thing. And I'm like trying not to twitch and trying not to move. And he stops and he goes, can you feel that? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, are you sure? I'm like, I'm not move. I'm trying not to move, but yeah, I can feel that. It's pretty sharp. It's a needle, you know. He's like, okay. So he brings the anesthesia over. He hits me with like 3 more shots. So I've got like 5 shots in my neck right now to try to like, of whatever it is. It's probably something real general, topical, like Novocaine or something like that. And
Got a high tolerance.
he starts hitting it again, and I'm trying not to twitch, and I'm like, I'm sorry, Dr. Schmidt. I can still feel it. He stops, looks me right in the eye, he goes, you're not messing around, are you? I go, no. And he goes, okay. Anesthesiologist
They
comes
brought
over.
out the dart that they give to deer and bears.
Exactly. Hits me a couple more times. And then he waits like 15 seconds and then starts going. He's like, don't feel it now? I'm like, no. He goes, good, because I'm already on my 3rd needle. I'm like, okay, great. So he takes 4, whatever out of it. Let's just say needles. And they're having it tested in the back room. They come back. it's got to be inconclusive in my opinion, because they're like, we're going to take 4 more. And I'm like, we just took 4. What are you talking about? Like, it's technically a surgery. I'm like, I don't really want to do this in the first place. So he gets 4 more. And they go back to the back room. He's like, comes back after like 10 minutes. He's like, hey, we're going to have to take some more. And I'm like, it's been like 30 minutes. Like, why do you have to keep taking more? I'm like, is this bad? Is this good? I got no idea. He's like, just lay there. You'll be fine. He hits me with the first needle, and I do one of these. Like, oh my God, are you serious? This is killing me. And he goes, wait a second, you can feel that? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that one was worse than the very first one. Anesthesiologist comes over and he's like, Mr. Kligora, do you like do a lot of drugs or something? Because you're taking a lot of this, let's just say Novocaine, whatever it was, because I don't remember. He's like, this is enough for a 400-pound man, and you're like not even close to that. He goes, and you're saying you can feel it? I go, yeah. He's like, well, I'm going to give you 2 more, and we're going to get this done in like 5 minutes. Okay, fine. He gives me a couple more shots. They finish the needles. They take off. The nurse is like, well, we you know, you have a lot of anesthesia in you. Like, I just want to make sure you're okay. We're going to sit here and monitor your heart rate for a little bit. And then we're going to make sure when we sit you up, you're not dizzy and you don't fall down. And I look over at the monitor and I'm like, what was my heart rate at the beginning? And she told me, and I'm like, it hasn't moved. I sat up and she goes, you feel dizzy? I'm like, no, I'm ready to go. And I started literally walking out the door, and she's like, sir. And I'm like, nah, we're good. Seriously. I'm like, I just want it out of there. Yeah. I was like a caged prisoner. And that kind of like sets the tone for what happens farther on down the road for like anesthesia and stuff like that. It's just quite funny. And by the way, I don't take a ton of drugs. I was just saying it to be funny. Like, let's just be real. All right. So like every test is inconclusive. This thing's growing in my neck. It's pressed on my carotid artery. I'm struggling to work out. It's growing. There's not many people that are noticing it. And now I got to like figure out if I'm going to have surgery or not. At this time, Jen knows. You don't know. There's a lot of other people that are close that have no idea except for Bergs. Mm-hmm. And the surgeon who did the first one calls and he's like, hey, Brad, we got to take this out. This thing's growing. We started at like less than a pea and we're almost at golf ball size. He's like, it's been 2 weeks. Like, we got to do something. And I'm like, hey, Dr. Schmidt, awesome. Thanks, but no thanks. I go, I feel great. And I feel like, you know, nothing's wrong. And, you know, how much longer do you think I can wait? Like 6 months, a year, 2 years, like maybe never? And he's like, if you wait more than 6 months, it's really going to be a problem. I'm like, no, I'm good. Thanks. And I didn't hang up on him, but we kind of ended the conversation. And he goes, I'll call you back later. I was like, okay, whatever. He calls me back in 3 hours and is like, it's really important that you understand, like, this needs to come out now. And I'm like, all right, Dr. Schmidt. I go, hear me out here. First of all, I'm in strong denial, and I know that. Second of all, I'm like, you're a surgeon. That's your job. That's what you do. You get paid to cut. Yeah. I'm not really into, like, cutting. I'm like, please don't take that the wrong way. But, like, every test we've done, which is at the time now 3 different cancer tests, 3 different other tests, everything's been negative. I got nothing to worry about. And he goes, no, I really think you have something to worry about if we don't get it out. I'm like, whatever. End the conversation. He's like, I'll call you tomorrow. Whatever. In the meantime, I send a message to Berg, send a message to Jen. They both call me back, and I'm getting lit up pretty hard.
Yeah, take it out.
I'm taking some serious fire, and I'm like, all right, fine. So we set up the surgery, and it is actually November 16th of 22. And I'm like, sweet. The morning of surgery, super excited. I wake up like I normally do at 5 a.m., really excited, fired up, let's go. I get a workout in. We go to have surgery, and it's kind of eerily weird. Like, as we're sitting in the room, it's quiet. The doctor's marking my neck up, and I'm like, this is really happening. And I feel like this real strong sense of positivity of just like, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. Side note here, understand, I've been lying to myself for about a month now, month and a half. I know there's something seriously wrong. I just didn't want to say it. I didn't want to think it. I didn't want to feel it. I was like, and I don't believe in like, oh, positivity will take care of everything. Positivity will, but facts are facts. Facts were there's something really wrong. Mm-hmm. We go into surgery, and once again, getting part of the funny story here, like, They make you recite. I got all these lights on me and I'm laying on the table and the anesthesiologist is like, don't worry, you're going to go out quick because this is our second time at it. Don't worry, I got you covered. Like, you're not going to have any issues. I'm like, okay, well, we'll see. I'm laying down flat on my back on the table and the nurse is like, oh, hey, what's your name? What's your social security number? Just the last 4 digits. And also, what's your birth date? I'm like, so I tell her. And as I'm telling her, this other nurse is strapping my legs down, then my thighs, then across my waist, my right arm and my left arm. I'm like, hey, hold on now a second. Aren't you supposed to be doing this when I'm sleeping? They're like, well, we honestly don't think we'll be able to move you when you're out. So we're going to do it now. I'm like, okay, it's kind of creepy because it feels like you're going to kill me. And she's like, no, don't have any concerns. Anesthesiologist just comes over, looks me like from the back over here, looks down and is like, don't worry, I got enough for you. You're going to be out by the time you say 9. I want you to start counting back from 10. I'm like, okay, no problem. 10, 9, 8, and I see his face whoop, right over the top of mine, like just like looking down at me like, what? You're not asleep? And I'm like, 7, lights out.
Yeah.
Don't remember anything. And I was like, great. I was supposed to be in recovery for like 45 minutes, and then I was supposed to be out of there by like 3 p.m. We started at like 10 a.m. Yeah, that didn't happen. I kind of woke up during surgery, and I don't remember.
Yeah, I didn't know
And
that,
he had to
I don't
give me
think.
a second dose. I didn't get out of recovery till like 7 p.m. They couldn't wake me up because he gave me so much gas, as I would call it. So it makes me laugh now. And when we got to read the paperwork
That's
and the
Brad.
nurses
That's
tell the
Brad
story.
in a nutshell right
like,
there.
I was refusing to go to sleep and I was refusing to stay awake. So like when we talk about mindset, no, I'm just kidding. But like, so get up, go home. Well, not really get up. Go home, wake up the next day, and I feel like $1 million. Like I have not felt that great for probably 3 or 4 years. I was like, man, this is awesome. I got a 4-inch incision in my neck here. It looks pretty awful as you saw pictures.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel great. I felt like I could have went to school. I didn't.
You just needed a good night's rest.
That
it's
could
really
be it.
You just knocked you out enough.
That could be it.
Hibernation time.
Doctor calls midday. He's like, hey, man, things went well. He goes, I think things are going to be fine. Your first cancer test, negative. We got 2 more to go. I'm going to call you back tomorrow with the results because they take a little longer. I'm like, cool.
So now they're actually biopsying it, right?
Yeah,
Then,
so they are taking
it, testing it and all that stuff now?
the golf ball out of my neck. They're cutting it however they cut it and testing it specifically for all various types of cancer and whatever else. He's not really telling me this, but like it's all hindsight now. He calls me back on that Friday, November 18th, and I'm watching state football. I am like, it's 11 o'clock. Kids are at school. Jen's actually subbing that day. And I'm like, I feel great. Like I was downstairs working out. Probably shouldn't have been, but like I was. Like that's just me. And he calls me and I'm like, hey, Dr. Schmidt. We start talking. He's like, hey, just got your 4th test back. Things are all good. No cancer. The next one should be back in about 45 minutes. I'm going to give you a call back. I anticipate absolutely no problems at all. Look forward to talking in like 45 minutes. Cool, brother. Thanks. See you. And by this time, this is already the 2nd surgery, so we've got a lot of experience with each other. We're almost on first name basis. Like sometimes I'll call him Travis and sometimes I'll call him Dr. Schmidt. And I'm waiting, I'm watching, I'm working out, not heavy now, but just messing around because I just can't stand there because I feel fantastic. Like the weight of the world has been lifted off me. And he calls me back and his first response out of the phone is, may I speak to Brad Kligora? I'm like looking at my phone like, is this the right?
Same guy that I've been talking to?
Yes, this is. He goes, this is Dr. Travis Schmidt, Pro Healthcare. I'm like, I'm kind of giving you the look I am now, like, okay. And that's when I was like, shit, this is going to happen. It's going to happen right now. And he goes, sorry.
No, you're good.
He goes, I'm going to cut right to the chase because I know you're a no BS guy. He goes, you have non-Hodgkin's large diffuse B-cell lymphoma. And I was like, I took about what felt like about 30 seconds. It was probably more like 5 as he tells the story back. I go, okay. Well, I just want to say to you, Dr. Schmidt, thank you so much for the opportunity to have you be my surgeon. You did an amazing job. I feel amazing. I feel like you've done such a fantastic job. I know this scar on my neck is going to heal fantastic, and I truly appreciate you. I just want to make sure you hear my voice say it, because our journey is probably done. And he goes, after about 30 seconds, and I'm not kidding when I say this, like he was like, didn't know what to say. He goes, excuse me, Brad, do you know what I just told you? I go, yeah, Dr. Schmidt, you told me I have cancer. And he goes, okay, because no one's ever thanked me after telling him that. And I'm like, well, I meant what I said. I'm like, I knew this for a while. I just didn't want to admit it. And I'm like, I wanted to make sure you heard me say it, because I truly feel our journey's done. He goes, technically not. And I was like, oh boy. He's like, he goes, this is what's going to happen next. He's like,
So did you think, because it was out of your neck, do you think there was actually a chance of that or not?
what do you mean?
Well, I know you.
When he took it out, I knew, like, it felt like physically and emotionally the problem was gone.
Right.
But when he came back with the whole, this is Dr. Travis Schmidt,
Yeah.
I was like, be prepared for the worst, but make sure you accept it with some strong humility.
But you
a
were
very
still
hard
trying to
mindset.
not, but you kind of already knew it, but you were just trying not to accept
Yeah.
it fully.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was just like, he told me what the next steps, and he's like, hey, the oncologist is going to call you in the next hour. And I'm like, holy cow, I just got put on a VIP list I don't want to be on. Like, I'm like, really? He's going to call me? He's like, yes. And he goes, I want to make sure that I do your surgeries. And I'm like, surgeries? He's like, oh, yes, you're not done. I'm like, okay, awesome. Well, thanks. I look forward to talking to you soon. Hung up, and I'm like sitting there like, all right, how do I handle this with all the things that, and the first couple of things that ran through my mind was like, how do I have a mindset? And I wouldn't say mindset. I'm like, how do I handle this to tell the people I care about who all have experience in a bad way about cancer, and make this, even though it's real, how do I make this like not seem that bad? So I gotta call Jen, and I told her straight up. We handled things, told Bergs, and we handled things. But like, as you're telling people, like in their mind, it was so hard to tell people. One, you have to come to the realization of like, you have cancer. And just accepting that fact, because so many people have emotions tied to that, it is really hard. And if you're not accepting of like what it means to you first, you don't even want to say the word.
I can tell you don't want to say the word.
Well, I'm better
You
at
really
it now,
don't.
but
Yeah,
like
but-
it took a while. But like, it's like, it's an like that word, it's just a word. It's the emotions attached
That's
to the
similar to
word.
Don, because Don was on the show. He had stage 4,
Yeah,
right?
stage 4 pancreatic and
he
there was another
beat
one.
it, but it was the same thing. He's like, the moment that he was diagnosed, he's like, didn't say the word again. To just, and I noticed
'Cause
earlier
it's not real.
I said, you had cancer and whatever, and then you just said, with what I faced, you didn't say it, and I thought that's just,
Oh yeah, it takes
You
a
just-
while to
yeah.
like get used to that word, because there's so many emotions attached to it, and we all have baggage from it. Like I lost my best friend to cancer.
Yeah.
I lost
Yeah.
Jen's mom to cancer too, and it was just like, you're healthy one day, and literally a simple little blood test or a simple little surgery, which wasn't very simple, like it's not so anymore. And we went from this isn't a big deal to now I am going to the oncologist at 8 a.m. on a Monday morning, and I just had surgery on Thursday, and he talked to me personally on Friday. I'm like, this is not a list I want to be on.
Yeah.
And I didn't understand the magnitude of what was going on. It was just kind of deny. And it was like, it didn't really, like, and I had to tell people. I had to tell like my closest people, and Justin being one of them. It was kind of, this is funny. This is so funny. Joel, you'll appreciate this a whole bunch. So I tell Bergs, and that's like telling your dad, it's like his big bear claws. He's like hugging you on the phone, but you're like, it's okay, whatever you're going to tell him, And then you tell Vital, and he just kind of laughs it off and is like, dude, you'll be fine. Taiwan is like the disciplinarian where he's like, you better not be lying to me, boy. Type thing where you're like, hey, relax, it's okay, still don't say the word back to me. I'm really kind of fragile right now. And then when I get to Justin, like I honestly avoided that call for a couple of days because I'm like, how do you tell somebody that thinks you're healthy and you're doing all these right things that you just went from 0 to DEFCON 5?
Yeah.
I don't know. So I kind of set Justin up, actually. I set him up on the phone. I call him, and I could tell it seemed like kind of a challenging day for him. I could hear it in his voice from having experience with
I
him.
remember that. I was driving home.
Yes.
I called. I was turned on to the road before my road, and driving down that road. Remember?
And just as a disclaimer, I did totally hijack him on this. I'm asking him about his day, asking him about real estate, and Justin's just talking, and I could hear in his voice.
I felt like
and
a big dick.
And he's,
after he dropped the bomb on me,
no.
I'm like, what the hell? Why did you start the conversation the way you started it to give me a chance to vent?
Right.
we're 45 minutes into the conversation, and finally I feel comfortable.
I mean, that
with
might be an
saying it.
exaggeration.
30 minutes minimum.
It was a waste,
30
though.
minutes.
I was pissed off.
And finally I go, hey, Justin, I got to tell
And
you
Brad's
something.
someone that the floodgates, I'll just open the floodgates. Like, same with my dad or whatever. I'll just, like, if there's something that's, I'll just, I usually don't talk that much, but if there's something that pisses me off, man, I just keep going.
So, like, I go,
I'm finally parked in my driveway at this point
Yep.
for like 25 to 45 minutes, whatever, still talking to you, hadn't gone in yet, just still talking in the phone.
and I still have not told him. And finally there's a pause, and he finally goes, well, hey, enough about me and real estate. Like, how are you doing? And I'm not kidding. It is 30 to 45 minutes in. And I finally go, Justin, I got to tell you something. I go, Justin, I had a little
And I knew right
health
then
issue.
it was bad, actually, right before the health issue, like right when he said, I got to tell you something. I'm like, oh shit, this isn't good.
And I tell him, like, and I had to use the big terms because I still couldn't say the word cancer yet. I go, hey, I got non-Hodgkin's large diffuse B-cell lymphoma. And the first words out of his mouth is, what's that? And I go, it's cancer. And it's silent. It didn't take long. And then he finally goes, God, I feel like such an asshole. I just talked about myself and everything else for the last, 30 to 45 minutes. I'm like, don't worry about it. It's just so funny because it was like, you might have been the first person that I actually said the words to that I was finally comfortable with saying it to. And it was just funny because I totally set him up.
Yeah. I didn't want to say the word again after that either, though.
Yeah.
At the time, did you have any personal experience with anyone who had cancer and beat it? Or were all of your personal experiences at that point people who didn't?
Well, the closest people to you, they didn't beat it.
The closest
The closest,
people
like
did.
your art, right? I mean, and that's
Art's-
like his best friend.
Art was my best friend, and he,
So even if you have, it's almost irrelevant. I mean, I don't want to speak for you, but in my mind, I'm like, damn. Well, like you have some of the closest people to you. Even if you know somebody that maybe is an acquaintance or whatever, I think that those two people closest to you probably trump a lot of the other things. But
yeah, Art died at 36 of cancer. Right. Jen's mom died of ovarian cancer, and she beat it the first time, and then it came back, and it took her out in like 3 months. Like, it was quick. I mean, it was painful in both aspects, and like everyone's got their own associated story with cancer. Well, if you're lucky enough to survive, just saying the word to someone else, everybody knows somebody, and that's why I didn't want to tell anybody that I had cancer, because it was like everybody knew like Uncle Bob that passed away or so-and-so that died of cancer and how awful it was. And they have this envision in their mind of cancer being awful. And don't get me wrong, it is awful. There's a lot of things that associate with it are absolutely awful. But the journey along the way, if you are lucky enough to survive, is pretty fun and pretty awesome at times. And it's like, it provided so many like lifelong stories and so many lifelong lessons that were like, I needed to remember how to get back to the mindset. I need to remember to get back to discipline. And it was like, I didn't really need to have cancer to figure that out, but like that's part of my journey, and I'm thankful for it. But like, yeah, nobody I knew close to me or really anything that ever survived it. And funny that you mentioned that, Joel, because like part of this 4-hour meeting we had with the oncologist, he told me all the stats. And what I had for cancer is less than 1% of all cancers diagnosed. And my survival rate was only 30%. And like, everyone's got this vision. I'm a man, I'm whatever, I'm invincible. And everyone's like, you have that shell of protection in your mind. And once they take that away, it's like nothing else really matters. It's like, it's just a very strange feeling that like, unless you survived, and I don't want to put us in an exclusive group, but like, it's just a very different mindset of how you go about things from here on out. It's not like you only live once, because I think that saying is bullshit. You only die once.
Right.
You live every day. It's how do I want to live every day from here on out?
Mm-hmm.
And like when that protective mental emotional shield of I'm invincible of 18 to whatever age is gone and it gets taken from you, that when you don't have a choice, that changes a lot of things real quickly for you.
The one that you had, is that only 1% of people are diagnosed with
1% of all people that are diagnosed with cancers
get that?
So
is that part of the reason why it took so long for them to figure out that's what it was? Is it just a harder one to detect, or is it what?
It was harder for them to detect, but then also because like this is once again to me a funny story. Like my doctor had 20 years of experience in cancer. He had one other patient with what I had. That one other patient died.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
this is the surgeon?
No, not the surgeon, the oncologist.
Oncologist, gotcha.
And I was like, when we were going over so many things, the oncologist is like, well, you know, I have experience. And my first question was like, oh, really? How much? He's like, one other patient. I was like, oh, really? What was the outcome? Unfortunately, they passed. And I'm like, that's fantastic. He's like, yeah, you're also the youngest patient I've ever had with this. And I'm like, well, 1 out of 2. I mean, I got to do something special. Yeah. And one of the funny things about Dr. Kronk is like, I always be appreciative of him. But at the beginning, I didn't know if he was like, I felt like we were trying to sell each other on each other. Because he's like, if you need to get a second opinion, go and get that. And I'm like, why do I need to get a second opinion? It's not going to change the fact that I have cancer. That's a fact. I'm like, Dr. Kronk, it boils down to this. Like, I grew up on a farm. I've coached way too much football. I've played too much football. I'm like, I see you as a tool for the job. Like, are you the right tool for the job or are you not? I'm like, because to me, I'm like, if I need a like sledgehammer and you're not the sledgehammer, I'm gonna go find the sledgehammer. So you need to figure out like how you want to do this, because when you tell me like I got these odds that aren't very good and I need a sledgehammer, like you tell me where to be in the next 30 minutes, like I will be there. Like I'm prepared to go now. I will go as fast and as hard as like nobody you've ever had as a patient before. And he's like, well, and I'm like, I looked him straight in his eye and said, Dr. Kronk, I know a lot of people have walked through your doors when you tell them that and have probably talked a massive amount of crap to you. I go, I'm gonna look you straight in the eye and tell you right now, I'm like, you will not have a better patient and you will not have a harder worker than me. I'm like, you will be writing articles about me and I'm like, you're gonna get a job promotion because I'm gonna make you look amazing. And he's just like, well, one last thing, you know, it's around Thanksgiving, Christmas is coming up, you know, a lot of people take time off around the holidays. We'll move kind of slow. And I'm like, Dr. Kronk, I don't move slow. The time is right now. I go, I didn't know cancer worked 9 to 5. Like, we're either doing this or when I walk out that door, someone else is getting the PR for this because I'm not going to come back and beg you for
That's talked to me like I'm a cancer before. I didn't know cancer worked 9 to 5. I mean, he's like said some similar shit to me like that.
And
basically calling just, yeah. Whatever.
And Dr. Kronk looks at me and kind of gives this like little turn and Jen is like, stop it. And he kind of gives me this little head turn and goes, we'll go as hard as you can handle. And I'm like, game on. And he goes, the next morning, we started this journey. And that journey was quite impressive because, like, in all, it totaled, when we just talk about straight stats, it was 4 surgeries, 4 rounds of chemo in 90 days. And we went from 8 hours of chemo the first day, and he's like, we're going to pump this through you as fast and as hard as we can, to 4 hours, to 3 hours, to finally 2 hours. The last round of chemo, I took 8 hours of chemo in 2.5 hours. And like every single time we did it, we just kept trying to refine it and get better and go harder and harder and harder. And like chemo's an interesting beast, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Like that's real interesting because like the first time you go in there, like going back to like, I didn't know I was on a VIP list. I've never had so much attention in my life for anything. I was getting almost a daily call from the PA about how do I feel? This is what's going to happen. Here's your next appointment. We'll see you at this. I'm like, yeah, I got it. Just tell me where to be. To the bone marrow surgery, to the port surgery, like everything was just happening so fast. Like we went from getting diagnosed to the first round of chemo in 10 days. That was bone marrow surgery and putting the port in my chest. And it was like, I remember sitting there one time going like, this is not the important list I want to be on. Mm-hmm. And I somehow got here. And I didn't really understand the full magnitude of it until sitting in the chair for the first round of chemo. I had 3 nurses in the room, Dr. Kronk, and the head, like, let's say chemo person, out of her office watching me take this chemo. Because I'm like, why am I so special?
Is this because of the type of cancer that you had and because of how fast they were trying to do it and strong? Or
Yes. Type of cancer I had, because no one has ever seen it.
So you were like the lion at the zoo.
I'm kind of like the guinea pig.
Yeah,
but yes. 2, they didn't know how I was going to react because I literally had 4 surgeries in 30 days. Mm-hmm. And I literally still had the like stitches on my port here as they're injecting it.
Right.
And they're like, we're giving them a strong dose because like this is like, as Dr. Kronk would put it, he goes, this is a super aggressive cancer. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, let's do it. Yeah. And it was trying to be prepared for all that. And it was like, man, 8 hours was something else. Cause it was like, at this time, I think there's maybe 5 people that knew. And I'm sitting in this chair and it's like, or not this chair, but the cancer chair. And they come in like the ET suits, the ASVAB suits, I swear. And they've got these huge red tubes and they're going to put this red tube stuff in. And as they inject it, she's got to inject the chemo every 30 seconds for however long, I don't remember. And she injects it, and I'm watching that thing go up the tube, up the tube, up the tube. And then when it finally hits the port, and the reason why they had it go in a port, because if they put it into my veins, it would have burned my skin. So they put it in a port, goes in my heart, shoots everywhere in my body. If you could ever imagine 1 million red fire ants crawling over your body in literally a 1/10 of a second, that's what it felt like the first time.
So you saw it hit the port, and within a 1/10 of a second, you felt it in your entire body?
Yeah, I'm watching it up the port, and I'm trying to remain calm and cool. And when it hit that port and I felt it hit my body the first time, I was like, I was truly afraid. I haven't been afraid of much in my life, like really, honestly, like, and we've done some dumb stuff. Mm-hmm. When that hit the first time, I was like, oh, we're going to find out how damn tough I am right now. Cause like, wow, that is a
So she did that every 30 seconds. How long did you feel that for each time? Like, did you feel the red ants for 3 seconds, 5 seconds, all 30 the whole day?
I would say it probably went on, like, for the first 20 minutes, it was like, stare at a spot on the wall and just be like, I am not emotional. This is everything in my body is turned off except for like.
So it's not like in between her injecting it, they would kind of go away. Once it started, it was.
Yeah, that's a safe way to put it. Like it would hit and then it would go away and then she'd hit it again. It was like it was like taking like a shot to the chin, like in a boxing match, every 30 seconds.
Yeah,
and it was like, and finally you just turn numb. Yeah, and then it's dealing with the after effects of chemo and all that stuff. So it was quite interesting. I don't want to say interesting. Like when we go back and start talking about mindset, there's one reoccurring thought I always had for the entire time. It was always like, I'm either what I said I have been for the last 35, 40 years. Well, actually, now that I think about it, for the last 40 years, I'm either everything I said I was, or I'm the biggest fake ever.
Mm-hmm. You've said that to me a lot.
And
the last
it was like, all I kept thinking about was like, just keep moving forward every single day. Find something that works and repeat it. And when I found what worked, whether it was during the chemo, actually it was technically during the chemo, of food for the day, what to drink, how to drink it, and go about it, I just would get up every day and just repeat it like Groundhog Day, every single day.
When you're still kind of somewhat doing that a little bit, aren't
oh
you?
yeah,
I mean,
to the extreme OCD, but like it was.
And it's not like you ate complete shit. But I mean, like when we would get together, we'd have a chipwich. You get a nice chocolate chip cookie, put in the microwave for a little bit, some 6 scoops of ice cream, throw another chocolate chip cookie on there, and we're all just crushing.
Yeah.
Brad wasn't doing that. And when the moment that I realized that, I'm like, oh man, like when I'm, that you didn't have one drink, you were like super aware of what you were putting in your body with every meal.
Yeah, which is interesting because like. I can only speak from my experience because everyone's cancer journey is different, but like everyone's going to find a way in their own mind to attribute to something in their life, whether it's Roundup from the farm, as I like to laugh and joke at all the time with my dad. Whether it's food, whether it's sugar, whether it's this, whether it's that, like you will find something in your mind to contribute to, like that's what's it. I contributed to food at the time and Roundup. I did not eat for the first 4 days after the dude told me I had cancer. I was like, that's it. I'm not eating anything. I don't care what it is. It's all bad. And then once I found a mixture that worked for me, meaning like food that I felt comfortable with, in my opinion was clean, I just, going back to a mindset and going back to daily disciplines, I literally ate the same thing every day within the same hour every single day and drank the same amount of fluids and drank the same things every day for basically a year straight.
What was it that worked for you? What were you eating?
In the morning, I'd have 2 eggs, 2 pieces of bacon, guacamole, and sourdough bread, just 1 piece. And then at lunch, I would have a salad, which was like basically a Caesar salad with chicken. And then at home for the night, I would go and have, it started out as, at the time, it was just nothing but Euro meat. And that's it. And then I started to add a little few things into it, and that was it. And to drink, it was 125 to 150 ounces of water every single day, regardless. Didn't matter.
God, I wish you could know how much that had to have attributed to you beating and winning, doesn't it? Didn't it? Do you think? I mean, obviously you probably think so, but I mean,
I needed something to attach to.
I
needed a discipline
I'd
or
be the
something
same way.
to
I get
attach it to, like. I've always considered, like, if you want some disciplines, like if you have a task and you're like, here are the 5 steps, I'll be like, well, what are you going to do? I want you to do it. Oh, these are the 5 steps. Great. I'm going to do it, those 5 steps, and be like robotic, non-emotional about and just do it. And it's like, I turned off every emotion to go and do those steps because I felt that was helpful. And during the time, they're testing your blood, they're doing all these things. And did all the things they asked me to do to the best of my ability, which was like 110%. And then my niche of like, I don't want to say my niche, but like finding that food source of like just repeat, I just repeated it every day, regardless, because I felt that was going to help me win. So it didn't matter to me if I liked it, didn't like it.
Which that in itself, though, you believing in it probably also keeps your mindset in the right place where it needs to be through the whole process too, which automatically helps.
Yes, but yes, without a doubt. But like when I was walking through the doors for treatment, and I would go there twice a week for a treatment and a follow-up, it was amazing when I was conscious, meaning like, because chemo will make you forget your name. Like there was times where I had to put into my GPS, like how to get to school. And I've been driving to the same school for 23 years.
When you even say now, you feel like you missed out on a year and a half where you just don't even know, or whatever you call it, 8 months or a year and a half, whatever, that you just don't even hardly remember anything.
Without a doubt. Like I really think like the routine helped out a lot. The mindset helped out a lot, but like chemo will make you forget everything for like a 2-year period, because for every day that you have chemo in your body, it takes a day to recover. That's what they say. I took that stuff so hard over such a short period of time. I was not mentally functioning appropriately. And I'm not saying like I'm doing weird stuff, but like I couldn't remember what I was doing. Like I'd walk down the hallway of the school I work at and I'd be like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. Where am I walking to?
Where am I going? Do I have class? I don't even know. I couldn't remember kids' names. And that went on for months. It's like there's kids that are now that I see at the high school, at the time I was working at the middle school, that they're sophomores and juniors that I do not remember their names. Mm-hmm. And they're like, remember in middle school? And I'm like, no, I don't.
Don't remember
anything. I flat out do not remember a single thing. And there's times like I don't remember Christmas, kids' birthdays. Like, I don't remember anything. It's like a 2-year blank of just like nothing.
Do you think that's all chemo, or do you think also because of where your mindset was and so focused on that you're just so focused on that and overcoming that's also part of the reason why?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. How much so? A little of both, yes. But it was one of those things, too, where it's like I remember the day I felt like the chemo was wearing off and I woke up. Like, I just woke up one day and I was like, oh my gosh, like, what are we doing here? Like, I didn't remember some things, but like, it was like I don't want to say being born again because that's probably a horrible analogy, but it's like you woke up from like a very deep sleep and it was like, all right, I'm ready to move on with life.
Mm-hmm.
And it was an interesting journey, so to speak.
How many days of school did you miss?
Oh, good point. So I missed a total of, between chemo and surgeries, I would have surgery and go back to school the next day. The only time I didn't do that is the time I had neck surgery because like it was pretty hard to hide that thing.
Yeah.
It was pretty gross. So like, but I went back to school real quickly after that. I only missed 2 days there. I missed I missed one full day every single day I had chemo because like
You actually were doing chemo.
I was actually doing chemo. So like in total, I missed 7 days of school.
That's crazy.
4 surgeries, 4 rounds of chemo.
How long a month period is that? Like,
From the start of the process when the actual like day one happens, the day you're diagnosed, so like November 16th to February 22nd,
Yeah.
I missed 7 days, and it was only because of days I was having chemo or days I had surgery.
Yeah.
And that was it. And that was
crazy.
bone marrow surgery, port surgery. I mean, I went back to school the next day after bone marrow surgery, and I was like, Jake, Jake's one of our best friends. I'm like trying to lift weights, and he's just like, are you insane? I'm like, if I don't do this, I feel like I'm going to die.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to feel like that. So I'm just going to act like it's not here.
and by then when he asked you that, everyone kind of knew already, right? Not everyone, but
Well, it depends on how you view that because like you could kind of see the scar on my neck, but I always wore my hood and I tried to hide as best I could. And I always had the lights off, like half on, half off in the weight room. So like kids
just
would
to hide
ask
it
and I'd be
from
like,
kids and whatnot.
I don't know
yeah.
what you're talking about, and leave it
Yeah.
at that because I wasn't ready to say the words. And why do I want to tell a kid something like that? Because they're going to, like, if I tell a student, like, oh, yeah, hey, I have cancer, I don't know what their emotional response is going to be. I don't know if they have somebody that's close to them that's either dying of cancer or had cancer or whatever. I don't want to trigger them. And more importantly, like, I don't want to hear the stories of Uncle Fred.
Yeah.
And not to be disrespectful to anybody for that, because it's an awful thing for a lot of people involved.
Yeah.
But I wasn't really ready to admit it. I was in denial. And I was in denial probably in like up until the very end. Like when they took the port out of my chest for my final surgery, that's when I was like, yeah, I had cancer.
Yeah. Well, and you kept it kind of on the down low. Like I have no idea what I would do in this situation. I have no idea if I'd tell a lot of people because I can't even relate to what you went through. But you kept it kind of down low, and kind of a little bit of a funny story out of it is we were at my house the following 4th of July, I think, or Memorial Day, one of the two, playing backyard yard games with some buddies, and Jake was there who already knew. But then our other buddy Tom, who Brad also trained growing up, and one of my best friends and whatnot, Tom didn't know or just hadn't came up because again, Brad's not like openly talking about this ever, like just not. And Brad hasn't always had the short hair on his head or no hair on his head, and Tom just goes, Brad, when'd you bick your head? Just like kind of as a joke. Jake,
funny.
Brad and I just kind of looked at each other. Brad started laughing right away. And Tom was my partner. We were playing cornhole, or I don't remember what game we were playing. Frisbee, the can jam
game.
or whatever, can jam. And I just whispered to Tom, like, he had cancer. And he's like, and Tom's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And Brad's like, don't worry. Brad's laughing his ass off. He's just, don't worry about it. But, yo, when'd you bick your head?
It's so funny.
There's like that story is so, it shows like growth, not only in myself, in my mind, but also it's like, it can be such an emotional hot topic for people. And it reminds me of like when we talked about emotions and everything else. It's like, it doesn't have to be, because there are success stories out there of people surviving cancer. Are they way less? Absolutely. Because people associate cancer with A, death, and B, as you're old, and they pacify their minds by saying, oh, they lived a good life. And that's normal, and I totally understand that. Respect anybody who feels that way. But like the stories of success, whether it's the guy you had on before or myself, like you don't hear about these stories because there's not that many.
Yeah.
Like if you got into my life now, I would never bring it up. I would never talk about it. And you would just see me as like, I used to have hair, but now I don't. No, it's not by choice. But at the same point in time, like if someone would be like, what's your number one story about cancer? I wouldn't tell them the tragedy part. I'd tell them the funny parts, because like that was the best part of the journey. Like I can't change what happened, but like the best parts about it was like it reestablished my discipline, my drive, and other things. So like maybe it was the ass kicker I needed in a midlife crisis. Now, hopefully I can make it to 100 then, but still, like, to me, I'm very thankful for that journey and very thankful for that. I wish it would have went just a tiny bit different at times, but like, I'm also very, very lucky. I'm like, my cancer, I shouldn't say my cancer, but the cancer I had is so unique. Like the Dr. Kronk did get a promotion. He's at a different clinic now. The guy that came in and took over for him was a specialist at Mayo Clinic, and he has been treating cancer for, he said, 18 years. I'm his first patient.
Crazy.
Like, it's just one of those things where it's like,
people just don't see it.
never ever see it.
It's got to be less than 1%.
There's
they
not
rounding
many,
up when they say
there's
that?
not many of me walking around, and it's like it's one of those things too where it's like you forget the journey sometimes, or not. I don't want to say forget, but you forget how like important it was to others. Like the day I had my last treatment, and they were kind of like they let me ring the bell. They gave me a certificate, which they do for everybody, but like in my pod of 10 people that had cancer that they were treating on those days that I was going in, only 3 of us made it out. And
That's
it was
crazy.
like, and I was like one of the lucky 3. I don't know about the other 2 right now, but I'm just like, I was the youngest guy in there, or youngest person in there by at least 30 years. And the amount of suffering that I saw was like, it was tremendous, but it was one of those things where it's like, it was humbling in a good way. And it was also one of those things too, where it was like, I'm okay. I'm okay with that journey now. And it was very, at the time you're like, I can only think of one time, well, 2 times. I called you one time and I called Drew one time where I was like, I was in a bad spot. I was in a real bad spot where I was like, do I want to continue? And I don't know if you could hear it in my voice. I don't know if Drew could hear it in my voice, but it's kind of funny because like, I just needed you to talk because I needed to remember some of the things I feel like I've taught you and you feel like you've learned from me, so I could get back on the, not on the horse, but back out of the emotional self-pity of like, just go do the damn job. And it's kind of funny because when that happened with Drew, he just is like, he kind of lectured me real hard for like 35 minutes, like real hard. And I was like, okay, gotcha. And it was just, it was good stuff. And it was one of those things that like, I don't know. I mean, my journey is what it is. And when I say like, when people ask about it now and it's like, you know, hey, 4 surgeries, 4 chemos, 90 days.
It's a lot.
So many good things that came out of it. Like being bald makes me look taller.
Why'd you pick your head? I think you're good with a new haircut.
It makes me look more intimidating. That's what the kids say at school.
Probably.
And it makes me laugh because like I don't talk a lot and they're like, you're scary. I'm like, the only thing that makes me scary is this bald head. I'm the same person I was before. I try to hold the same standard I did before. I try to truly be the same thing. I don't want cancer to define me. I don't want it to like change my life into this me pity story. I don't want it to change and be like, oh, now I'm going to go do ridiculously undisciplined things. It's just like, it's part of my journey. It is not the journey. And it's hard for people to understand that because their own story with cancer, usually it's second or third party, it's always a tragic ending. Always. And
how's that for mindset?
Well, and the reason that I asked if you knew anyone who came out and survived is there's only 4 people that I personally know, you now being one of them, that I personally know that have had cancer. All came out. Like I don't
That's
have
a lot.
I don't have a personal experience with anyone not coming through.
that's awesome.
And that's stage 3, stage 4, you know, so it's just like, it's just like, I think about my own mindset. If I were ever in that situation, it was like all my examples are, meh. Not that it doesn't suck. Obviously, it's insane, but it's just like, oh, yeah, he made it, and this guy made it, and I know this person made it, my aunt made it, and this. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, like, it gives you that, like, oh, it's not just the door's closed. You know what I mean? Kind of a mentality. And so it's just like, man, I wonder what that mentality is, oh, you're good, don't worry about it.
Okay.
Going like, I could see where you would have such an unwillingness to accept it as a reality because your only examples are
not positive
this is it
experiences.
And I'm not willing to accept that versus, oh yeah, I can point to all these different people. I can make a phone call.
And part of the reason too, the first time we talked, I didn't know what to say because I was coming off a 1.5 or 2 years out of Lucas dying. One of my best friends growing up passed away from cancer.
That's such a
so like when you tell me that, like that's what I was like. I didn't even know what to say by the time we were 45 minutes into the conversation. We get to that point because that was a fresh experience. That was like
it's funny, man.
That was like a fresh experience for me where it was. I mean, literally coming off the bat. I mean, that was the day after my wedding. My mom came into the room and said, "You got to go see Lucas because." Connie Nelson's on the phone. You gotta go see Lucas because he's not doing good. And like, so it was the day after my wedding. We went, and that was the last time I saw him.
Really,
he was gone.
And I tried to.
And that was a fast thing too. That was
he had brain cancer.
It wasn't that long. I mean, it was a handful of months.
It was like 3 to 4 months because he had brain cancer, and it was
so
rough.
That's part of the reason too. Like when that you said that, I can't even necessarily. I remember that. I remember turning on the road. I remember you calling. I remember turning on the road. I remember turning onto my road. I remember pulling in my driveway. I remember the conversation shifting. After you saying it, though, I do not remember any of the conversation.
There wasn't much of one.
I don't remember any of the conversation because immediately I just like I
can tell you what you said.
I kept flashing back to that the whole thing with Lucas.
I can tell you what you said. You just said, "Well, please let me know what I can do, and we'll talk soon." Mm-hmm. And I knew you wanted to get off the phone because like it was invoking those emotions where I'm like, the last thing I want to do is call someone that I care about a tremendous amount that I've spent a lot of time with, and granted I'm a little bit older than you, like way older, but like we've grown up together in certain aspects and have gone through some life things, and I'm like, now I'm putting my story interrupting your life, and it might not
I just
go
remember
well.
thinking the thing that I went to immediately and why I couldn't really react because of again I went back to think about Lucas and that's how that situation ended, but I didn't want any of that to come off onto you in that conversation because I wanted your strength and the strength to be there to go beat it. I wanted zero like negative thought or comment or. And so that was, but yeah, it was just like you told me. I was like, oh shit, like and
You mean you weren't pulling a Taiwan? Shit, you gonna die or what? But these are also guys I've spent like 35 years with. So it's like, but that's Ty, and it's one of those things where it was like, I needed that because he knew that was him being humorous about it, and I needed that. But like, that was the hardest thing ever when I had to call Bergs, my parents, you, Drew, Bergie, and Vital, and being like, and Ty, and being like, this is where we're at. Please don't treat me different. It was what I was trying to say. Yeah. But how do you not? Because I knew everyone's story, and like we're all intertwined, and it's like everybody we know it didn't end up well. And this right now at the time, everyone's like, well, how's it going to go? And I'm like, it's going to go the way I want it to go, and it's going one way and one way only. And I made that very clear in my actions. I made it very clear in my mindset. And the few moments, and I mean, like, I don't want to act like there wasn't moments where you doubt, but there were moments. And I mean, like, some really, really small moments. And when I needed something, I called Justin one time, I called Drew, and I didn't tell them I need you to talk to me about this. I just said, hey, how are you doing? And I let them talk. And when they would ask back, I'd be like, I'm doing okay. And that was it. And they would, in a way, remind me of the things that got me to have success with that mindset, with other things, and sometimes just being pure stubborn and maybe a little bit stupid. But like, I knew one of the things that we need to do is you just need to keep going and just keep going forward at all times. And I think when we talk about whether it's training, where you talk about business and you talk about these daily disciplines, whatever it is, it's like just keep moving forward, regardless of what it is. just keep moving forward, and it will hopefully eventually all work out. But like, it reminds me of like the bracelet I still wear from when Brady at the time, he was a little bit younger, but like he thought it was so funny on Amazon. He bought a bracelet of blue and white, and on the inside it was inscribed, "Keep fucking going." And he's like, "Don't tell mom." And I put it on and I was like, "Don't worry." And I'm like, I still wear the one that Peyton made for me. And it's kind of funny because it's like, I didn't want a motto. I didn't want a mantra. I don't need something to circle the wagons with, because like, to me, I'm like, that's invoking emotional response. Like, it needs to be a daily thing, regardless of what it is. And I take cancer out of it. Doesn't matter. This is what I'm going to do. But it kind of like became like KFG. It just kind of was like, that's what I go and do, regardless of what it is. So I don't know. I mean, like, when I always think about, like, when I talk to Justin about real estate, whether he's having a good day or a bad day, and I can hear it in his voice. And then it's me asking just to ask. I don't have to do this anymore. And he kind of brought it up at the beginning. Like, how do you go about inserting that mindset? I know he's passionate about it, and I hate using that word because that usually invokes like things that we don't need to really discuss, but like, he doesn't need to be reminded to keep going. He needs to be reminded at times of like, trust your gut because it's right 99% of the time. And it happens in the first 3 to 5 seconds. Don't deviate from that, and just move forward and just keep moving forward. And that's it. And I mean, like, if there's some secret to that, I would tell any person that's starting a business, any person that's trying to go out and like do something that they think is challenging, keep moving forward, keep doing the daily stuff every single day, and give it enough time. So many people want to give up in 3, 5, 7 days because they don't have any success. And I'm like, in this world that I've got to witness for the last 25 years, people are so weak-minded and so weak about things. They think if they do something like 1 or 2 times, they should have success. And it's like, that's when you haven't even started learning. You got to mess up sometimes, and mess up pretty bad to learn something and do it right and keep going at it. Like, allow the mistakes to happen so you can get to the good stuff. And they weren't, as soon as one mistake happens, they're like, oh, I'm done. I got to change. Change what?
Well, and what you talk about too, with kind of taking the emotion out of it. I mean, that's why, like, when something good happens, I'm not like crazy, like to the moon. And like, people are like, how are you not more excited? I'm like, it's what I'm supposed to do. And then like the same thing though, when something really bad happens, yes, there might be like a 30-second or an hour window or whatever where I'm pissed off. But then it's like, I'm like even keel no matter what happens. That's how you say that, right? Even keel. Is that the saying? Even keel no matter what happens. Because again, it's just what you're supposed to do. Right. And it's not allowing the emotional roller coaster ride of success, trouble, success, struggle, success, whatever. And I think, I mean, with everything that everything that you kind of pushed through to Drew and I, and, all that stuff, I mean, obviously you lived all of it. You do live all of it every day, right? I mean,
every single day.
And like this whole story is, proof of that you live it every day, and especially during that time, So
you can't let the highs be too high and the lows aren't that low, and you got to somewhere find that medium. And it's like, everybody wants everything to be up here, and it's like, it never really truly is that.
No,
it's
Instagram makes it seem that way sometimes, or whatever. But.
And the lows, they can be low, but like, if you're in a low, you want to get out of it as fast as possible. And if you're in a high, you want to try to, whatever you're doing to get onto that, you got to find out what it is and just keep doing it.
What you just said, I think about all the time too, is when you're having a bad day, you're going to have a bad day, but you want to get out of it as fast as possible. I talk about that because you used to, when we were training, you're always like, yeah, squeeze whatever you can in the bucket, put whatever you can in the bucket. But also, like, there were days too where you're like, that was a shitty day. Yeah, we didn't put much into the bucket. That was a shitty day. But then it's like, you're like, let's just turn it around tomorrow.
Right.
Let's limit how many shitty days. And some days you're gonna have back to back to back shitty days. But don't let it go back to back to back to back shitty days. Don't let it be 6 weeks of shitty days. Don't let it be, get out of that slump, or get out of that as fast as you can, and limit how long you're there. And don't let that become a streak, and don't let those streaks, don't have too many streaks, right? I mean, that's
Yeah.
So what you said right there is something I remember you always saying to us too, and I still think about that as well. Okay, well, this was a bad week. Let's not let it be a bad month because of a bad week. Like, just because you have a bad week, you can still go have a great 3.5 weeks in that month.
Right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, plus it's also people not understanding what truly winning is and how much winning. And I don't care how we're gonna like win at what. It doesn't matter. Win at like the scratch off at McDonald's, which doesn't really exist anymore. But I'm just saying, like, winning has no emotions. It doesn't care if you won the day before. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't care anything. You just winning is a direct result of all your preparation and all the time you've spent to achieve it. And then once you achieve it, it resets.
Yeah, for sure.
And people don't understand that. They're just like, oh, I won once, so I'll be able to do it again. No, that's gone and over with, and it's a reset every single time. And when they talk about consistency of winning across any platform, it's consistently doing the same things and consistently doing the same behaviors that lead to that success. And it's such a simplistic mindset or such a simplistic way to go about it that people overlook it. And it's like, it's not complicated. It's the whole fact of getting over your emotions to go and do it, whatever it is. So
100%.
To kind of button up.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom really quick.
Yeah, you're
Hold your
good.
thought. I gotta go.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I feel bad. I cracked this thing so bad.
Oh, no, you're good.
I was like, oh my God. I'm sorry, Joel.
No,
Hopefully
you're
that
good, man.
makes sense.
Go to the one on the mic. There's a little, the magnet. Yep, perfect.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I rambled. He rambled.
Oh, you're good.
You're going to clean it up.
Nope. I don't. Very rare do I do a whole lot to them. If there's stuff from a legal standpoint, we've taken bits out before, but
I'm trying to get you a story where you can set that up on Justin all the time too.
God, that's so funny. See now
I felt so bad when I did it.
At some point when I talk to him and he's just ripping on something and bitching about something, towards the tail end, I'm just gonna be like, Justin, we gotta talk about something. I'm just gonna let it ride for a minute.
Yeah. That was one of the funny things too. Like, I went, November, December, halfway through January. The teacher I teach with every day knew. I'm a bad person at times. Seriously, this is a funny story too. So, like, how I set up Justin. So I've taught with the same lady for 23 years. I call her over Thanksgiving break to tell her I have cancer and I'm not going to be in on Monday because I got to take this. I'm going to get a scan. Like, this is like, we're going from 0 to DEFCON 5.
Right.
And I'm like, hey, how's gymnastics going? How's it going? She's telling me all about it. And I go very similar. I'm like, hey, Christine, I've got to tell you something. She's like, okay, what's up? How are things going with the kids? I'm like, oh, great. And I go, by the way, I got non-Hodgkin's large diffuse B-cell lymphoma. And she goes, oh, okay. She's like, well, I'm sure you're going to be fine, because her mind was on gymnastics and other things. And I was like, okay, cool. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, yes.
Easy one.
I got
That's
one
great.
where I snuck it in. No emotion out of it. It's great. We get off the phone. She calls me back a half an hour later. She goes, what did you just say to me? I go, well, what part? She goes, you said something really important, and I don't think I understood it. I'm like, well, that was the whole point, because I know this is going to be an emotional response back that I don't know if I'm ready for. And she goes, what did you say? And I go, so I gave her the long name because I still was not ready to say the word cancer. And she goes, what is that? I go, it's cancer. And she just started crying. I was like, damn it. That's not what I want.
Yeah.
Because, like, now in your mind, you got to manage your own emotions that are very, very fragile.
Right.
And now you're trying to console that person, and they're going to feel bad because that's how they responded. And it's like, it's just this whole cycle. And like, if I could have avoided that, that would have been awesome.
Right.
But like, I did the same thing to her too. It was,
Right.
That's just me, I guess. Sorry.
No, you're good. Two things. One, just to kind of put a button on the whole, I think, conversation from start to finish is, we've been talking about mindset. What would you say are like, and this is for both of you guys, what would you say are like the top 5 key elements to a high achiever's mindset? Because we talk about mindset, but we didn't really give any context as to, hey, this is what that should look like. what are some of those like core elements to someone who's a high achiever or a highly determined, or you know what I mean? Because there's elements in all of that is what got you through what you've been through.
Do you want the funny answer or the serious answer?
You can do funny first.
Okay, the funny first is stubbornness,
Yep.
stupidity, and that's pretty much it.
I mean, that's a funny answer, but at the same time,
true.
that's also true.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that on the, I think it was the last episode, or two weeks ago, where we talked about delusional.
Yeah, Chris. Yeah.
I was delusional for 3 months about
I
having
thought about
cancer,
delusional a
so,
lot.
like,
Well, Chris Wormley, he plays for the Ravens,
Yeah.
played 9
Oh.
years, and he
gotta-
he brought up delusional. And when you were talking about that, I'm like, oh, it's delusional.
Yeah, because you have to. You're writing the story in your head. It's what version do you believe?
Right.
The bad voice in your head or the great voice in your head? And somewhere in the middle is reality. But like, which one are you believing in? I think about as I just look over and see your book, like you got to bet on yourself. I was doubling down and betting on myself, and I knew without a doubt, like if I'm gonna go down, I'm going down on my terms with everything I got. With what I know best. So like when you talk about like the 5 things, I think you've got to have that voice in your head that's constantly like speaking positives, but not positives where it's like irrational, but like I can do this. I think you have to be really stubborn, and 2, you have to, or 3, you have to block out the white noise. I think that is something like most young kids, young people, they don't understand. Like they want to listen to like so many things, like. Whose podcast you listen to? I'm listening to 10 different people. Well, great. How about one that actually speaks to you? How about one where you can get some value out of it? Another thing I think is really important is also like understanding and having a well-defined goal where you know that you can achieve it, and not in 30 days. I'm talking long term, and keep driving toward that thing.
Yeah,
driving
focus towards
all
it.
the time. Like a short-term goal to me is pretty meaningless, because what do you do after you achieve it? Start over? No, like you keep going.
We never really achieved our goals. Like we set targets where we wanted to be at with whatever it was we were training for. It was like the target then always moved.
Yeah. And that's part of like, whether that's delusional, tricking your mind, like, hey, we're going to achieve this. Oh, actually, we're going to achieve this. No, we're going here. Okay, great. Now we reassess. We're moving the bar up every single time. And I think like, I always talk to our kids in our strength and conditioning classes of like, you learn, I don't know what you learn over in math, science, and English, because I believe in it, but not much. Like you learn more about yourself in this weight room, because I'm going to drive you either to be crazy and hate it and get out of here, or I'm going to drive you to the point of like, you are going to achieve amazing things, because like whatever you think the target is, I'm just going to keep moving it up and moving it up and moving it up and moving it up until we get somewhere. Or your journey's done here, because I'm part of their journey. I am not the journey. The journey is them growing mentally, emotionally, and physically. That's a really long answer. I only came up with 4, Joel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Because like I had to fall back on stupidity and stubborn, because like we can talk about, a business mindset or all those things. It boils down to having a true belief in yourself and knowing without a doubt, like, I've got no one else to bet on but myself, and I'm going to go do it, because there's not many people besides your parents that want you to succeed more than them.
Right.
It just isn't. And that's okay.
I think those are all great answers.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
To close, every week we do a question that was asked by the previous guest.
Ooh.
And then you will ask a question to next week's guest, or the next guest, I should say.
You don't know who the next guest
But you don't
is.
know who
It's
that
okay.
is.
Yeah.
So from last week, the question was, if you had to give up your current career, take money out of the equation, set that aside, what would you do as a profession if you could do any profession? Non-financial related.
That's easy. That is extremely easy for me. I'm coming to work for Justin. Honestly, Bergs and I talk about this a lot. I talk about like, I know, and this is going to sound really egocentric, and I know this. I understand his emotions, and I understand how he talks. when he walks, what he's saying, what he's doing. And like, I'm like, just put the task in front of me. You don't have to ask questions. Like, give me the keys to the Ferrari. I'm gonna drive that thing as hard as I can, as fast as I can, and get you to the end goal. And we're gonna achieve it. And I don't have any. I know I don't need to ask permission. I just, here are the keys. Let's go. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, when I'm done teaching, which will be at some point in time, like, I don't care if he just allows me to go and pick up trash around the properties. Like, I'm gonna go do it, and he knows that it's gonna be done perfect every single time.
Right.
Because I won't leave, whether it's 8 o'clock at night or 4 in the morning, until it's done the right way. And I am like, to me, I'm like, I don't know if he's excited about it, but like, I mean, I'm excited about it because I'm like, I still feel like the best part of my life and the best part of my career is yet to happen because like, there's so many weak-minded people out there. And if you have any ounce of like MFer in you to go and achieve, you're going to be incredibly successful in this world, whether it's in the future, in whatever it is. And there's just not enough. There's more placated and pacified people that are just, oh, man, it's okay. Just go and attack it. You know, be the alpha, be the lion, whatever. And yeah, that's what I'm going to go do. Honestly, I have no doubt. Or I'm going to rule the world of vending machines. Only because you don't have to talk to people.
Yep.
And you can monitor everything digitally. Because I feel like all day long, I constantly am like more of a psychotherapist at school than I am anything else. Because they think the smallest meaningless things are actually important. I'm like, yeah, no. So
there you go.
What am I going to go do? That's an easy one.
He's our next team member here.
There you go. Already locked in.
Well, that means I got to ask a question.
Yes.
What was his question again?
So his question for you was, if you had to give up your career, take money out of the equation, what profession would you do? What would you do?
I can even modify and go like anything. It doesn't matter if it's a dump truck driver, if it's it doesn't matter because I'm like, you just find out what the successes are. Like if it was starting a like washing business for trash cans, some dude started that in our neighborhood. Mm-hmm. Great, awesome. Everyone's taking their garbage out at 7 a.m. Good, I'm there handing out cards.
All right.
I'll be here every morning. I'll wash your cans for free for the first 3 times. I don't care.
Right.
Because you will now pay me after that. Man, that's a good question. Now I got to come up with one better. Yeah, right.
It's everyone's response.
I would say, right? You want me to ask the next question?
For the next guest, yeah.
What daily disciplines have you done to make yourself successful?
That's good.
I like it.
Because to me, it doesn't matter who you're talking to. They do something daily for the end result, whatever the end result is. And I truly feel the end result for them is always a constantly moving target of better and better and better. Because like, if you feel like you've reached the top, that's when you're going to fall down and fall down real hard. And it's not going to be good. So.
That's awesome. Appreciate you coming, man. Sharing the story. I know it's not easy to share that stuff.
It's a lot easier now. Thank you so much for the opportunity. There's so many funny stories and so many things that are in there, but like, I don't know if anyone's actually heard the entirety of it. Mm-hmm. And like, I know you haven't.
No, not. But like, there's stuff I learned there. Yeah.
It is one of those things where like, and it's scary. It's very, very scary when you tell people like, now I laugh all the time. Like when I get kind of pissy at school and a kid's drinking something like where they're not supposed to, like for example, like a Monster and they're drinking on the turf, which gets me really irritated. I'm just like, hey, that stuff causes cancer. Knock that off. Get it out of here. And they just look at me like, how can you say that? I'm like, I can. Because it's just a word. It's not anything else other than a word. And that is, it's good. It's good now. It really is.
Yeah.
But I think the hardest word after you go through your journey is survivor and survivorship. That is very scary because they talk about survivorship and you're like,
scary because you're scared to jinx it?
You can't jinx cancer.
Well, is that what it has to do with? Or what do you mean by why is it scary?
So I got released I was taking a CT scan or a PET scan and testing every 3 months for the first 2 years. And at my 2-year appointment, they're like, we got to talk about survivorship. And I'm like, survivorship? Like, what the hell have we been doing for 2 years? Like, hold on, you know? Like, in my mind, I'm like, I'm way past this. It's only been 2 years, but yet it feels like it's been longer. And when they started talking survivorship, it was scary because it's like, now they only test me every 6 months. And without that 3-month checker, you're like, that safety net is now gone. You're like, well, that daily discipline, like, does it go away? Does it not go away? Where are we at? And now I don't have, like, I'm supposed to be, normally I'd be having a test right around now. So you'd be like, these are the things I got to do. How well have I done them? I'm going to beat my last blood work.
So this is like the athlete who's no longer an athlete anymore. Is that kind of it?
Okay, great point.
Is that what it is? Is that kind of what you're relating to?
Yeah.
The NFL guy that doesn't know what's next, kind of?
Kind of, because like my next appointment is in August, and all it is blood work. And I'm like, can we take a PET scan? And the PET scan sucks because that's like 3 hours of like not great stuff either.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, they're like, no, you're just going to take blood work. And I'm like, but how do you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because this thing snuck up on me, and us as a true team of medical professionals, because I've never really had the same consistent doctor ever, like in a matter of like 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, you'll know the signs and symptoms because you've survived it the first time. I'm like, hey, I ignored it for 3 months. Like,
Right.
Like, I can say that now, but like, I would say June, July, August, even into September. So 4 months before I had it, I knew there was something wrong. I was avoiding and lying to myself. And I'm like, I'm kind of stubborn and stupid. So yeah. Survivorship to me is a very scary thing because it's like people expect you to like change your life, like life-altering experience. Cancer is a life-altering experience, honestly. But what have I done after it? Has it been like, have I done a lot of things different? Health-wise, maybe, maybe not. Yes and no. But it's not like I've like got 7 tattoos, went skydiving 7 times and tried to find all these life-altering things. I've just been like, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question. Like, I'm trying to think. One of our friends asked us, like, what life lesson did you learn out of that? And I'm like, it's such a hard question. Like, how do you answer that? Like, was I that bad before?
Right.
How did I get it? Is cancer environmental? Is it inside my body? Did I get it from somewhere else? Like, what do you do? Like, if I got it from like, if it's already inside me, which is what I believe now, it was just waiting to show up and be like, hey, let's hang out and have a party. Well, all right. Until next time. But you're going to be met with the same resistance you did the first time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a very, very strange thing. And like, it's one of those things where it's like, it's either your cape or it's your anchor. Your cape of like Superman cape. Like, this is my badge of honor, so to speak. I survived. Or it's sometimes your anchor of like, man, this sucks. This sucked. And I don't want to think about it. And I don't feel the best about it at times. It's like you're embarrassed to say that because you're like, in my mind of like I was weak at one point in time. Like, it's just strange. It's a weird thing. And they can prep you for all those things of like, this is what's going to happen to your surgery. This is what's going to happen during chemo. They never once talked about the aftermath of chemo, the emotions that are associated with that, and the emotions of like survivorship. That was the hardest part because how do you, like, I wanted things to be normal and go about daily things. And it's like, my life was forever changed in ways that I don't fully understand, but it's forever changed. And it's like, all right. And there's that 2-year period of when my kids were like 15 to 17 and 16 to 18, where I'm like, I missed everything, like absolutely everything. And not on purpose. My body was there.
Yeah.
I could not tell you jack what was going on.
Yeah.
I couldn't even tell you who their friends were. I don't have a freaking clue. Like, nothing. And it's like, well, that's never coming back, ever. Like, besides the 2 times we talked, I don't know if I could tell you a single thing that happened in your life.
Mm-hmm. Oh, but that wasn't, you had other priorities in that moment. You had other priorities in that moment.
Yeah, it's just funny. That's all. I mean, like,
You had to focus and be there doing what you're doing, and just the shit you're on to get through it. That messes with you too.
I hope nobody, I often say this, I hope I took the bullet for everybody else. And I say that because, like, I will gladly do it again, whether it's for the people in my, whether it's for the people in my immediate family, the people that I care about, anytime. Because, like, cancer is suffering. It is suffering on a level that if someone has better words for it other than suffering and can describe it better than that, like, some people want to do it on social media and have people feel sorry for them. And I still think, like, that's fine if that's who they are. But, like, the worst part about it was being in your own head during and after. Because there's some dark, dark spots that when you need to dig out of those, then you're going to find out what you're made of. And I felt very strongly the entire journey. There was a lot of people that I talked some shit to over 25, 30 years that I need to maintain a persona, and also to be like, I'm going to find out if I'm full of shit. And I was going to Cortez it and burn the damn boats, but I was not going to be full of shit.
Not
at all.
No.
And that's why I don't care. Like the guy's question, like, I don't care what it is. I want to be successful. It don't matter. Like, it just doesn't matter. All right. I'm sorry. I'm probably wasting tons of time.
No, you're good. You're good, man.
Tons of time.
You're good. I think there's a lot to take away from the episode where whether I mean other people are listening that might have just got diagnosed, they might hear this thing and I mean it might shift their mindset from down here to to be able to be in a different zip code of their mindset to get through it, So no, I appreciate you sharing the stuff you're sharing. It can't be easy to share it, and love you, man.
Justin, I love you too.
So
like, it's pretty simple.
So appreciate you doing it. We'll get you on. We'll have to get you on again because there's so many other stories and other things that we didn't even tap into that would be good just because we've known each other for so long and been through a lot that there's a lot of other good lessons and stories to be shared too. So to be continued. Guys, thank you so much for joining the Let's Get It podcast and listening to Brad Kligoria's journey, story, and tips, tricks, and other
our circus
miscellaneous
our circus
things on mindset. So no one better you can hear from and mindset. Again, like Brad, you've a big reason of what I'm doing in life, like family, health and wellness, business is because you're in my life too and part of my life. And there's my parents, there's you. I mean, there's just such a small group of people that have had a tremendous impact on my life. The lessons that I think about because again, I'm limited with who I listen to. Because like you can't listen to everybody, or you're not going to get everywhere or anywhere, right? Because you just get too much, and like the negativity from other people or certain people, you just can't let their words in. And again, like you're up there with my mom and dad as far as who I let kind of impact my thoughts and everything. And yeah, you're on that list, and you've made a huge impact in my life. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Like that's in my opinion, that's like one of the highest honors like you can give me. Like seriously, to be put up there with your mom and dad is like that's phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Yep.
Like that's very, very humbling because like by no means do I do anything special.
Yeah. Oh, you're too humble.
I don't do anything special.
Thanks, guys. See ya.